Top of the morning. Good morning, security gang, and welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast. My name is James Azar. I'm your host and Chief Information Security Officer and Cybersecurity Practitioner, bringing you the latest cybersecurity news. And I'm proud of today's program because for once, we don't have a data breach announcement. Like, I don't have to do this. This is great.
There is a security breach.
Nope, not today. Not today, folks. But there's a lot of other stuff to talk about. Compliance, a lot of compliance stuff to talk about. Good morning from is that Guernsey? I'm assuming it's because your name's Gern. You've renamed the country Guernsey. I love it. All right, I'm in a good mood because there's no data breaches to report this morning, which is exciting. It's exciting because it does help us a little bit. I mean, there'll be more stuff to report. They're not going away, but a show without it was fun to prep for this morning's show because it really has in-depth stories. We're going to talk a lot about compliance, legal stuff. Then we're going to go into vulnerabilities, and then some good guys prevail, and a crazy acquisition of what I think will be a trend over the next 12 to 18 months in cybersecurity. So join me for my double espresso this morning. Look at that beautiful phone. Look at that. It's can't see it on camera. I got to get a better camera, but every better camera I get, always kind of pops in and out. It's weird. It's whatever. All right. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Two sips because it's no breach Thursday. All right. We'll get started with Google getting fined by the French regulators who apparently are fining Google $381 million, or in their currency, 325 million euros, for slipping promotional messages directly into Gmail inboxes and for cookie consent practices that regulators say were more about coercion than choice. For French users, apparently, those little promotion or social taps inside Gmail weren't always filled by brands they had subscribed to. They were also stocked with ads that looked and felt like regular emails. According to the CNIL, which is French's data watchdog, they say that they ruled that these weren't just promotions, but direct marketing messages under French law. Sending them without prior consent was a violation, with nearly 53 million of the Gmail's more than 76 million users in France viewing those ads. They say the impact was massive. Now, here's the thing. Is it consent with this? Is it really coercion? Was Google in their inbox bending their hand backwards going watch the ad, tell me you like it? No, they dropped ads into their inbox. That's that. It's that. Now, is it worth a $380 million fine? Nope. Along with the fine, Google was ordered to stop placing ads directly in Gmail inboxes in France and to rework its cookie flows. The company has 6 months to comply, or they'll face an additional $117,000 per day in penalties. France, deficit running. Just horribly. I mean, France was one beacon of hope. Today, it is a beacon of a collapsing civilization and society. Google, for its part, insists has already made significant changes. People have always been able to control the ads they see in their products over the last 2 years. As the CNIL had acknowledged, we've made additional updates to address their concerns, including an easy way to decline personalized ads in one click when creating a Google account, and changes to the way ads are presented in Gmail. I mean, this is where government, where government steps out of line with business. If you're getting a free product from Gmail, I think Google's approach to Gmail should be, we're going to charge you 10 euros a month to use our inbox, or $10 a month, whatever, right? We're going to charge you X amount of dollars a month. You'll get no ad revenue, but they'll generate that 53 million users. If 53 million French users opt in to pay 10 euros a month, they generate 500, and, do the math. And that makes up for their lost revenue, and then those people can flip on the government because that's what they should. Europe's long used GDPR and data privacy to go after big tech companies because Europe in itself is, you have to understand the whole thing. This is really not about privacy. It's not. No, you say that, But there's a saying in Hebrew, and many of us Jews say it, they're looking between the tzitzit. The tzitzit are those little stringy things that you see a lot of Orthodox Jews wear, right? And they're very symbolic in Judaism. It's literally one of our morning prayers. Is you have to put these on. It's a big mitzvah. It's a big thing in Judaism, right? But this isn't a Judaism lesson. This is where data privacy regulators are going to justify their existence by looking in those tzitzit for stuff. They're looking in these little details to say, but is there an injured party here? Not likely. And if someone bought something because of an ad, is it not their personal choice to buy it? I get bombarded with ads. I get like geo-targeted by cybersecurity vendors all day long. My feeds on social media are bombarded by them. My inboxes randomly get invites. Am I an injured party? Should that be something the FTC should take care of? I don't think so. I don't think so personally. Now, I'm less intrusive, but all of that. But Microsoft is doing the same apparently in Outlook client and Windows 11. Yahoo does the same in their online version of their email page. Yep, they all do it because they're giving you free email. They have to make money somehow. It's not free. I know. It goes against everything else. But in a win for the US EU relationship, the European Union Court has held that the United States adequately safeguards the personal data of Europeans. This is the challenge to the EU-US data transfer agreement, the General Court of the Court of Justice of the European Union. Does that sound like it's garbage? Yeah, I know. It's like, so in Europe, you have like country courts, and then you have EU courts, and they're kind of like the master rulers of all the EU, and they're unelected bureaucrats. They're appointed by just a group of random politicians in the EU Parliament. So a French lawmaker, the French again, challenging the EU-US data privacy framework. I didn't see them challenging anything with China, though, citing the fact that a U.S. data protection court provides independent oversight of U.S. intelligence agencies and their potential surveillance of European data. The lawmaker who brought the case, Philippe Letamont, had argued that the U.S. Data Protection Review Court, which is housed inside the DOJ and has historically seen as a bulwark for checking U.S. data surveillance activities, not sufficiently independent. The General Court noted that the European Commission monitors the framework to make sure it consistently applied, and said the DPRC ensures that that intelligence services receive adequate oversight. So that's a win. Check that for a win. We continue with COPA. So yesterday, Disney was fined $10 million by the FTC for violating essentially COPA on some of their YouTube videos. Well, now the DOJ is targeting Aperture Technology for allowing a Chinese third party to collect children's geolocation data without knowledge or parental consent. The complaint filed by the Justice Department follows a notification by the FTC alleging that Aperture violated COPA by failing to notify parents or obtain their consent before collecting their children's location information. Aperture sells robot toys for children ages 16 to 14, provides users with a free Android app that helps control the toy robots. To connect and use the toys, the users must enable location sharing. However, the app also embeds JPush, which is an SDK developed by Jingyong, also known as Aurora Mobile, which has been used to collect precise location data of thousands of children since at least 2022 for any purpose, including targeted advertising. Now, I'm going to do the same outrage I did here with the French. You know why? Because it's even keel. You can still think two things are different or the same and still have different opinions on it. I agree with the move, but again, I think they're looking like for this kind of stuff. I don't know that there's injured parties here. I don't know what that data is being used for. There's nothing, by the way, in the press release that talks about what would the Chinese doing it outside of just trying to do targeted ads on those children using those robots. So again, does that don't you automatically kind of like consent to that? Well, apparently Aperture, like obviously big on the Amazon store there apparently. So look, I'm not a fan of this in a way, because I feel like this is also part of a greater geopolitical move to target companies that work with Chinese third parties in order to get them to maybe stop working with Chinese third parties as part of a greater kind of move to on the line. And it's not that I don't agree with it. I think China is a enemy to the United States. I think it sees our country um, as a threat. I think it has a goal of destroying this nation. And by all means, I think we should do everything we can. But I also think going after a small business in this way, Aptor is a small US based business, right? So, it's someone who had an idea to took a chance to sell robots, found everything in China and did it that way. And so, should we give them an alternative rather than punish them? They were fined $500,000. That fine has been put on hold because they have ongoing financial difficulties because it's a mom and pop shop. The company will have to pay the full amount if it was dishonest about its finances. So there's that. But the Czech Republic also issuing a warning regarding the threat posed by technology systems that transfer data to or are remotely managed from China, the growing use of data intensive technologies in critical sectors with the NUKIB, that's the Czech Republic's Cybersecurity Administration, citing transportation, energy, healthcare, and public administration means critical infrastructure is increasingly dependent on cloud storage and remote operations. This poses a particular issue for Chinese products and services because of malicious activities and hacking campaigns that have been linked to Beijing. At the time, Jan Libivsky, the country's foreign affairs minister, said that distribution was intended to expose China. So that's one way. The other way, build alternatives as a coalition. Build alternatives as a coalition to China. You do that, you're fine. Calling them out ain't going to change behavior. China doesn't care. These news never make it to the Chinese. They didn't make it to the Chinese in Diaspora. Maybe it's shared with the Chinese there, but they know the Chinese are listening to their communications. They know they're monitoring everything. So even the Chinese that are in the Diaspora don't really tell the Chinese living in China everything they need to know because they're afraid, because that's communism. That's communism, folks. And that's scary thought. All right. A lot of people are screaming, cybersecurity is all falling apart. Not really. All right. Less than a month to go. The Congress and Senate have got to pass and extend 2 federal cybersecurity laws. They've now began moving through Congress. The House Homeland Security Committee voted unanimously 25-0 to approve the Widespread Information Management for the Welfare and Infrastructure and Government Act. That's a 10-year extension. And the 2015 Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act also provides incentives for private entities to voluntarily share digital threat intel. The panel voted 21-1 to reauthorize it. And the state and local cybersecurity grant program. So both of those statutes are stated to expire by September 30th. Both of those will pass, irregardless to what some person tries to write about. They're not going to do it. It's going to pass. It'll be fine. It'll get there. It'll pass September 30th. By then, it'll be there. So just relax, folks. Take a chill pill. It'll be fine. They're not going to let these expire. Google this week's rolled out fixes for a total of 111 unique CVEs as part of their September 2025 set of Android patches, including exploited 0 days. Those 2 0 days are both privilege escalation issues that impact the Android runtime. That's CVE 2025-48543 and the Linux kernel CVE 2025-38352. There are indications that they may be under limited targeted exploitation, according to Google. Fixes for the Linux kernel bug erase condition related to the handling of the POSIX CPU timers were announced in July. All major distributions appear to have been patched. While there is no reports of vulnerability exploitation prior to Google's fresh warning, it was reported by Benoit Sevens of Google's threat analysis group, which suggests that it might have been exploited in spyware attacks. Again, that's where you see it. Google provides no details on the Android runtime security defect other than its impact on the Android open source project, 13, 14, 15, and 16 releases. So you want to make sure you get those patched up. CISA issuing a fresh warning that a missing authentication vulnerability in the TP-Link TL WA855RE Wi-Fi range extenders products are being exploited in attacks. CVE 2022-4363. The flaw is described as a missing authentication for a critical function issue that allows an attacker on the same network to send unauthenticated requests for a factory reset and reboot. Again, they've got to be on the same network, and they've got to be there. The attacker could obtain incorrect access controlled by setting a new admin password, according to a NIST advisory. This is from August of 2020. We're now September of 2025. It's a 5-year-old vulnerability. When I talk about vulnerability maturity, patch management, and so much more, this is exactly the stuff we talk about. When CISA's got to come out and say a 5-year-old vulnerability is now being actively exploited because not everyone took it seriously, something to wonder about us as practitioners. and something to keep in mind. Attackers are increasingly using a new AI-powered offensive cybersecurity framework called Hexstrike AI in real attacks to exploit newly disclosed end-day flaws. The activity reported by our friends over at Checkpoint Research absorbed significant chatter on the dark web around Hexstrike AI, associated with the rapid weaponization of newly disclosed Citrix vulnerabilities, including CVEs 2025-7775, 7776, and 8424. According to the Shadow Server Foundation, nearly 8,000 endpoints remain vulnerable to these, down from 28,000 the previous week. So good progress there. Hexstrike AI is a legitimate red teaming tool created by researcher Muhammad Osama, which enables the integration of AI agents to autonomously run over 150 cybersecurity tools for automated pen testing and vulnerability discovery. It's now being used by threat actors. And again, these tools will make it down to threat actors. And we're obviously seeing this kind of being done in Russian, kind of letting you know where it's all originating from. The window between disclosure and mass exploitation shrinks dramatically, according to Checkpoint, with the newly disclosed Citrix flaw. And again, we've said it on the show before. We've seen the results. 20 minutes from the time a disclosure is made, they're already scanning. Within 24 hours, there's a proof of concept exploit. So keep that in mind. Attackers are also using an exposed ASP.NET machine key for remote code execution on vulnerable Sitecore deployments, according to Google. Adversaries used a sample machine key that was included in Sitecore deployment guides from 2017 and earlier and executed in a view state deserialization attack against internet accessible Sitecore instances. The issue CVE 2025-53690 has a CVSS score of 9.0, is described as a deserialization of untrusted data bug affecting Sitecore Experience Manager and Sitecore platform and their Experience platform prior to versions 9.0 that were deployed using the sample key exposed in the guides. Sitecore has addressed the defect and released an advisor to provide organizations and recommendations with mitigation guidance and indicators of compromise. As part of the attacks, which were quickly disrupted, the attackers used a view state payload containing the Weep Steal malware, which enables internal reconnaissance. Google also observed the threat actors archiving the root directory of the web application, performing host and network reconnaissance, deploying open source tools for network tunneling and remote access, and even creating local admin accounts. So you want to make sure you get that patched up. Oh, as football season is getting ready to kick off, 2 Egyptians were arrested for their involvement in the Stream East illegal sports streaming site, which was taken down on Wednesday. The Alliance for Creativity and Entertainment said it worked with Egyptian authorities to shut down the piracy network, which had more than 80 associated domains and logged more than 1.6 billion visits over the past year. Ace Cold Stream is the largest illicit live sports streaming operation in the world, giving people free access to nearly all games from the NFL, NBA, EU football, or as we know it here in the country, soccer, and other sports leagues since 2018. Charles Rifkin, the chairman of ACE and CEO of Motion Picture Association, hailed the takedown as a resounding victory in the fight to detect, deter, and dismantle criminal perpetrators of digital piracy. So good guys prevail there. And finally, Cato Network acquiring AIM Security. AIM, a AI security company, Cato, a SASE platform, coming together now in a Cato's first acquisition to buy AIM. I love AIM, right? Like not a binding endorsement. Saw their product, met with the team over at Black Hat. Great product, very mature for AI security. A very, very good tool. And so congratulations to the team at AIM, and congratulations to Cato and Shlomo there for your first acquisition. Pray it's a successful one for everyone involved. Thank you all for tuning in. Tomorrow we'll have a summary, all available at our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. You can also catch a lot more content on our website and on our YouTube channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great weekend. Have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.